is, I believe, is how God Almighty will judge you. It is not so much the placard that you place on your forehead. But Kabisi cannot see those things. Kabisi believes that anyone who associates with the Grand Chief Imam of Ogbomoso land, Dr. Yunus Toliat Olushina, must be an enemy of Kabisi. Kabisi attempted to remove Dr. Toliat Olushina on the spurious excuse that some people from the Lara family wrote a petition that Toliat is not a member of their family, which we found out from inquiries that is nothing but a bunch of lies. When the imam was to be, picked and installed, all members of their family were asked 3 times. Of the 3 candidates, which of them is not a member of your family? They all said, no, all 3 are members of our family. They went through screening, examination in their family compound. Toliat came first. But some people complained. They said, okay, fine, we'll cancel that, we'll go to the Central Mosque, we'll go to the Ogbomoso Muslim community, the collective. They were examined there. They were asked the same question 3 times. They said all of the aspirants were their children. Their father asked, if we pick one of the 3, would there be ruckus or problems? Or they said no. Anyone that you deem fit, pick, would support. And they did. Toliat, they examined them. Toliat again came first by a very wide margin, for that matter. While Toliat scored 92, the man who came next scored only 52. The man who came after that scored about 27 or so. So the difference was clear. The Muslim community picked him. They now took him before Kabisi, a revered father, Obajima Oyomedagbade III, who then blessed the selection. To now use that as an excuse that people complained. I said, Kabisi, you can't base any judgment on that. Number one, the very first thing is that they had the opportunity to deny his membership of their family when they were asked during the selection process. But they affirmed his membership of the Ilera family. Now at this stage, it's not up to anybody anymore to say, step aside. The thing to do now is have them go to court. If the courts remove him, no qualms. It's not up to the Oba. It's not even up to the Ogbomoso Muslim community on the ground of that he's not a member of the family. If he had committed some other offenses in the mosque, the Muslim woman could decide, okay, because of these things you have done, we are asking you to do. But that's not the case. If anything, the man had been impressive in terms of his performance as chief imam of Ogbomoso land. So why would you dabble into it? We went to Kabisi. Please stay off it. You are like because you came to Ogbomoso newly, you don't have friends, you don't have enemies here. You're like a new baby. Don't let anybody hang their own wala on your neck. Let them go to court if they so desire. Kabisi initially acquiesced, but eventually he overruled us and said Toliat should vacate the chief imamship while investigation was. The court had ruled because of some petition from members of Laoye family, some, that even Kabisi wasn't entitled to the throne that he was pursuing, that he had just been installed in. The court took notice of it, but the court said, okay, On appeal, at the request of Kabesi, the court said, okay, continue to stay in office pending resolution at the appeal stage. And Kabesi was allowed to continue to play his role as Kabesi, pending the ultimate resolution in the court. That's what I say is in before the court. We now say Kabesi, if the court could allow you to continue to be Kabesi while you appeal, why don't you allow this man also to continue with Chief Imam until his matter is resolved? If his matter is resolved at the end of the day, we will go. If the court says he should go, let them go to court and let them remove the court. That's what due process means. Kabesi rejected that. We said what's good for the goose is also good for the gander. But Kabesi would not believe any of that. He insisted that Toliat should vacate the position of Chief Imam. Not only that, using some of his agents, they even sought to seal off the central mosque, which almost resulted in very terrible crisis in the town, because the Muslim youth got wind of it, overpowered the hoodlums, and handed them over to law enforcement agencies. This almost started. That was the very, very first issue that began the process of division of various segments of the town into subsets. Kabesi now got some of those people into his palace and created palace Muslim community. A palace that does not have a mosque. He installed a chief imam in that palace. Of course, the larger Muslim majority, 85% of the Muslims in the Ogbomoso Muslim community, continued to operate from the central mosque. And if anybody bothers to go to Jumat service at that mosque any day, any Friday, you'll be amazed at the ever-increasing turnout of faithfuls under Toliat Aylara. Another issue. Kabesi now focused on targeting individual Muslim leaders as those ones who have been supporting Dr. Aylara to remain as chief imam. Among those who have been targeted are Dr. Saka Adebute Balogun. Before Kabesi's arrival at Sean, Dr. Balogun had been overdue for installation as Balogun of Ogbomoso land, a traditional title. I'm not talking about an honorary title. And the governor of the state, in the process of sealing Oba Gadi's position as Oba, asked him to please ensure that Dr. Saka Balogun was installed to his rightful position as Balogun of Ogbomoso. As a matter of fact, we had on good authority that Kabesi attempted to find alternatives to Dr. Saka Balogun being installed as Balogun, because he didn't like Balogun, believing that Balogun happens to be one of those ones who had been supporting Toliat Aylara to be chief imam. He delayed that process until the governor nudged him, and I don't know what else happened. He eventually succumbed and installed Dr. Balogun. But since his installation 3 months ago, Dr. Balogun has not been allowed to enter the palace. Twice he went to the palace, and some procured hoodlums harassed him, drove him out, shouting, "Ole, thief, ole, thief." Balogun said he would not go back there until there's a definite pronouncement from Kabesi that he had the right to discharge his duties as Balogun of Ogbomoso land. The grounds for doing that against Dr. Balogun is simply that Kabesi believes Dr. Balogun would not go and worship where he wants him to worship, would not follow the imam that he wants him to follow. And Dr. Balogun said, as a Nigerian, this nation, the nation under the law, It is his constitutional right to follow whoever he wants to follow, to worship wherever he chooses. It's not for any upper to tell him, to dictate to him where to worship, where not to worship. Up to today, the Mayegun continues to be in Kabiyesi's book as an enemy. Even threatened him publicly. It's not in private. That if any chief transgresses or refuses to follow his dictates as Oba, would have the leg of such a chief cut off. Openly, publicly. Ditto Alhaji Mansuru Ayo Adeseun. Ejide is without doubt probably the foremost philanthropist that we have in Ogbomoso today. He's kind, he's generous, he's rich, he spends his riches on people and on Islam. He, in fact, was at the vanguard of trying to mobilize people to quench the riot that was about to occur when the Muslim youth went crazy, when the central mosque was locked off. But rather than congratulate and thank Ejide, Kabiyesi has classified him as an Otalu. There are several other people who have been under that banner too. Myself inclusive. In this my write-up, I put up something here that I say, look, Kabiyesi, I challenge you. If people like Ejide, the philanthropist, gives out freely, who helps people, who sends people, who pays people's medical bills and all those, is an Otalu anywhere of the town, of the palace. And me, I'm that Ayo Adeseun, you regard me as an enemy of the palace. First of all, I'm resigning from that office. Don't suspend me. I don't want your suspension. I don't want to be part of what you are doing there anymore. Because you will there's no you take out of my credibility as a Ogbomoso. Working with you, the way you want it to be done, will actually undermine my sense of self. Kabiyesi classified me also as an enemy of the palace. I put a few things there. Let's list some projects that I've done in Ogbomoso in the last 30 years since I came back from the US. And I want to challenge Kabiyesi publicly today that himself and his so-called Orelus should also come out and tell us what they have been able to achieve in Ogbomoso in terms of developing this town in the last 30 years. Any and all of them. And these things are there to be, they are verifiable. These are not stories. And I also want to tell you, my constituency does not extend to Ogbomoso North, Ogbomoso South, Orire. My constituency is strictly Surulere, Golua, and Oyo Central Senatorial District. But all of the things I've listed here, if you go through them, you see how many of them are located in Ogbomoso North, Ogbomoso South, and Orire. That's because I'm an Ogbomoso man. And I see Ogbomoso as the collective property of ours that must be developed, must be allowed to be. Ogbomoso, we are a family. Ogbomoso is one. We would not encourage, we would not allow anybody to come and divide us. If anybody comes out and looks at these things and says they are not there, let them come and challenge me. And if they do that and find that these things are there, I want Kabiyesi himself come and tell us in his 62, 63 years of life what he has been able to do to uplift this community. Additionally, there are big organizations that Ogbomoso have always relied on for development. One of them being Ogbomoso Parapọ̀ worldwide. Ogbomoso Parapo, what do I understand, is about 114 years old. That organization had been at the vanguard of non-governmental development in Ogbomoso for a long time. For instance, the very first secondary school in Ogbomoso land, Ogbomoso Grammar School, was actually founded and established by Ogbomoso Parapo. Kabiyesi woke up one day and declared the ESCO of that August body dissolved. And he proceeded to name a caretaker committee to run the affairs of that organization. Of course, the organization people in the data school took umbrage, took Kabiyesi to court. And once the court stepped in, our nation is a nation of laws. It's not a nation of might. We are no longer in the old Oyo Empire, where might was right. I think people sometimes nostalgically think we are still in the Basharuga era, where one individual can do as they pleased. Not anymore. However powerful you may be, whatever your position, you are subject to the laws of the land. We are all subject to the law of the land. Nobody will again be allowed to take us for a ride. Parapo went to court. The court declared Kabiyesi's steps illegal, against Parapo, unconstitutional, null and void, and of no effect. And the court additionally warned Kabiyesi to stay off Parapo affairs. But you know what? Rather than do that, Kabiyesi went and created his own Parapo. Just like he created his own Palace Muslim community, he has gone to float another body that they called, I don't know what the name of that body is, but it is to be a counterweight, counter force to the Parapo that we have always known. Kabiyesi cannot continue to divide the town when he is supposed to be the father of all. He's supposed to be the one that will bring all of us together. Where we are disagreeing, where there are quarrels, he's supposed to be the peacemaker. Peacemaker, Kabiyesi is the one that's actually dividing his own kingdom. And that should not be. Because of these things, and I've concluded that Kabiyesi is not the kind of person that any chief can advise. Because he's his own chief advisor. He likes to listen only to himself. Because of that, I don't think I can operate successfully serving under him as a chief. Therefore, I don't want the suspension anymore. I'm relinquishing that position altogether. Let him give it to whoever he wishes. That frees me totally. And that will not stop my commitment towards developing my hometown, Ogbomoso. I'm an Ogbomoso man through and through. I will continue to do. After people look at this, I'm not given to telling, to boasting. But I want people to look at this and go out and verify those things. And if they've done that, they can come back and say, like, ask these people, this so-called Ore Afe, what their role has been, what their impact has been in Ogbomoso. Some of them have served in very senior positions in the system, federal, state levels. You know what? They don't have a pin to show for their services. Yet they are the ones Kabiyesi brings around. They are the ones Kabiyesi installs as chiefs. They are the ones Kabiyesi. In any case, I know he does that because he knows these people are paperweights. Those of us who have tangible products to show, and of course, he considers us threats. Whereas we are the ones who love the town. If he's also a lover of Ogbomoso, we are the ones you should embrace. If you fight our lodgers, you fight the butchers, you fight the tradesmen, you fight Yaloja Abaloja came to visit Ogbomoso a week ago. Kabiyesi organized some hoodlums in the palace who went and harassed them, abused them until they left. These are the people on whom the chieftaincy institution is supposed to rest. Those are the grassroots people, especially for those also who are politicians. Those are our people. I hope to God that Kabiyesi understands what's at play and he retraces his steps. If he does tomorrow, I'm perfectly willing to work with him because his goal will be in tandem with my own goals too. Developing Ogbomoso, taking Ogbomoso to the next level. But if we are going to resolve these issues, we will do it comprehensively. There can be no one-on-one type of resolution because if we do it one-on-one, other elements will still surface and the problems will persist. The important thing is that Kabiyesi needs to change its style. He needs to have a better understanding of the Ogbomoso terrain that he has come to rule over. If it takes time to do that, given what we saw in him, when he first came, I was excited. I was happy. I saw a man who appeared. If you see Kabiyesi, you'll be proud to look at him and say, "That's my Kabiyesi." He has the stature, the mien, the courage. He's educated, well spoken. On top of it, he was coming from America, where I came from too. And I was excited. I said, "This is my kind of man, a man of this century." But what you have seen so far leaves very much to be desired. Thank you, gentlemen. If you have questions or whatever, yes, I'm. Oh. How that go, Banco? Yeah. Are you ready? Yes, sir. Ní nǹkan bí ọjọ́ mélòó kan sẹ́yìn, bí ọ̀sẹ̀ kan ọ̀sẹ̀ kan àbọ̀, bàbá Kábíyèsí, bàbá Gandhi, Afọlábí Olúmọgẹgẹ ìtọ́, wọ́n fi ìwé kan ṣọwọ́ sí mi látàfin pé kí n lọ rọ́kúnná níbi oyè Mayegun Ogbomoso tí mo jẹ, tí bàbá wa olóògbé kọ́ ló foríjì wọn, bàbá dáadáa, ọba Jimoh Oyèwùmí Ajagungbadé the third, tí wọ́n fi oyè dá mi lọ́lá níbi ọdún 5 sẹ́yìn. Wọ́n kọ àwọn kankan bẹ́ẹ̀ insubordination, wọ́n ṣe àwọn kan máa ń gbọ́ pé tí ò ní ìtumọ̀ rárá. Ṣùgbọ́n mo rò sí dáadáa pé nǹkan dé òkè ìwó ruru káwa ruru ẹ kí n ṣe sùúrù kí n tẹ kọ́kọ́ wo tí ọba ṣe yìí náà. Mo wá wò lọ sọ́tún, mo wò lọ sósì, mo rí pé kò sí kan míì tí wọ́n ṣe ju pé wọ́n gbà pé àwa kan là ń sọ́pọ́tì làwọn lẹ́yìn Grand Chief of Ogbomoso land, Imam, Chief Imam, Yunus, Taliat, Ailara the second. Nígbà tí a bá sì dé, bí wọ́n ṣe kọ́kọ́ dé gbàrà inú èmi lù sí wọn pẹ̀lú àbáyé bẹ́ẹ̀ bá wo Kábíyèsí, ìdúró wọn, ìsọ̀rọ̀ sí wọn. Wọ́n tún á gbé program kan jáde pé àwọn ní 25-year development plan for Ogbomoso. Paríparí ẹ̀ fíìmù wa ni pé Amẹ́ríkà wọn ti ń bọ̀, Amẹ́ríkà làwọn náà sì dé ká tó wálé ká tó máa ṣiṣẹ́ ìlú wa lọ yìí. Mo ní irú ẹ̀ ní tèmi náà fẹ́ rè. Ìkíní ẹni tẹ́mi rí ọjọ́ gbọ́ àwọn ara wa ní bàbá yìí. Èkejì, ẹni tó ti jáde tó ti rí rírí àti gbégbọn sọlọ sí àwọn tẹ́mi ṣe ń gbà tó mo ti délẹ̀ yìí, ìrírí tí mo ti rí ní àwọn ibi tí mo ti gbé ló ń kọ́ mi. Tí ọba wa tún jẹ́ tó rí bẹ́ẹ̀ náà tó náà dídùn rí bẹ́ẹ̀, ọ̀rọ̀ wa Ògbómọ̀ṣọ́ Ọlọ́run ọmọ dáadáa tá gbèdé. Mo sọ fún kábíyèsí níjọ́ta àkọ́kọ́ èmi kan kọ́kọ́ pàdé, mo ní kábíyèsí ó dùn pé Amẹ́ríkà rẹ̀ ti ń bọ̀ ọ́, ibi tẹ́ ti wà làwọn náà ti dé. Ó kọdún kan tẹ́mi ó kó lẹ́yìn dé, so wọ́n sì mọ̀ pé sínú àwọn làwọn ajẹ́ l'Amẹ́ríkà ọ̀hún. So kò tẹ́nìkan lè wá sọ fún àgbà Amẹ́ríkà tá a wà gan fún ọ tá àti dé kọjá. Ṣùgbọ́n tẹ́mi mọ̀ nípa Amẹ́ríkà ni pé wọ́n máa ń wà open, wọ́n máa ń kóyàn mọ́ra, wọ́n lè ṣiṣẹ́, wọ́n kò sí nǹkan kan tí Amẹ́ríkà ò tó bá kọjú sí tí bókè bá ga tó lè Amẹ́ríkà sọ̀kalẹ̀. Ìwé tá a fẹ́ nù ní lórí àpèrè àwọn bàbá wa. Àmọ́ kò pẹ́ tí kábíyèsí di Ṣọ̀ún láti pé ń gbé àwọn ìgbésẹ̀ kan tó kù díẹ̀ káàtó. Àkọ́kọ́ ni pé níjọ́ kan wọ́n ní kí wọ́n lọ kí chief imam Dr. Yunus lọ́dọ̀ọ́lá wọn lọ fọwọ́ kúnná kí àwọn ṣèwádìí lórí pé àwọn kan kọ̀wé láti lé wọn pé mo è ṣọmọ ilé ayélujára. Làwọn ọ̀dọ́ mùsùlùmí náà bá jẹ́ l'Ógbómọ̀ṣọ́, náà bá ń pariwo káàkiri, náà ń gbé placard káàkiri, náà ń sọ àwọn ọ̀rọ̀ tí sí ọba gan. Alhaji Mọ̀súrù Èjì ló gbọ́rọ̀ yẹn lọ́wọ́ bá mi pé ẹ̀gbọ́n mi nǹkan mọ̀ ṣe l'Ógbómọ̀ṣọ́ báyìí àmọ́ gbọ́dọ̀ jẹ́ kó jẹ́ pé àwa mùsùlùmí náà wà jẹ́ òkúta àdìgbòlò fún ọba tuntun yìí. Bá ní ọjà náà nùkà iṣẹ́ di ṣe náà abákan àgbàgbà yòókù Dr. Balógun àtàwọn bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ ẹja jókòó káforíkorí bó láṣọ̀rọ̀ tí òfin ní di ogun wọn l'Ógbómọ̀ṣọ́. Ògbómọ̀ṣọ́ àṣẹ̀dá ọba tuntun àrò pé kí ìlú tó fi dá sí kókó àwọn èèyàn tiwa gan ni ó wà jẹ́ oníbàjẹ́ rẹ̀. Abáṣọ lọ bẹ àwọn èèyàn abẹ wọn àrọ̀ wọn àwọn aṣọ alákòóso wọn abáwọn wọn sì gbà. Wọ́n ṣàlàyé pé kẹ́nìkan pé kí tọ́lé àtọ́lọ ọ̀rọ̀ kúnná kò ní wọ́rọ́gbọ́rọ́ gbọ́wọ́. Àwa náà sì gbà bẹ́ẹ̀. Àwọn ọ̀dà kábíyèsí pé kábíyèsí ọ̀rọ̀ pé kí chief àwọn lọ́rọ̀ kúnná yìí kò ní túmọ̀ o. Kábíyèsí ọmọ tuntun lẹ́jẹ́ l'Ógbómọ̀ṣọ́ lọ́rẹ̀ lọ́tà. Ẹ má torí ẹnìkan rojọ́ wẹ́lẹ́wẹ́lẹ́ kan fún yẹn wàá sọ ọ̀tá tiwọn dọ̀tá tiyín o. Nígbà tí wọ́n yan chief imam, wọ́n bí wọn fámìlì wọn, ọkùnrin tó jẹ́ lórí àwọn tí ń dá àfin tí máa fi ń yàn wọn ọ̀rọ̀ ààyè ìmábàáyàn má ìbí ẹbí rántí oyè ẹ̀ Pàkòyí ló bí wọn, ó lẹ́ẹ̀mẹ́ta ló ń bí wọn pé ẹ̀yin Alára family ṣé àwọn mẹ́tẹ̀ẹ̀ta tí wọ́n ń du oyè chief imam yìí sọmọ yín ni wọ́n lọ́wọ́ àwọn ni wọ́n. Ẹ̀ẹ̀mẹ́ta ló ń béèrè wọ́n sì lọ́mọ àwọn ni wọ́n. Tá a bá mú kankan nu wọn ṣé kò ní ìdíjà, wọ́n ní ò ní ìdíjà. Wọ́n wá ṣèlówó fún wọn. Dr. Yunus Tọ́lé Àtàlà ló wá gba kò kíní. Wọ́n ti kọ́ yẹ̀ wọ́n ní fámìlì wọn, orí àlọ́ gba kò kíní bẹ́ẹ̀. Ó ń gba 92. Ẹni tó tẹ̀lé gba 52. Ẹni tó tẹ̀lé gba 27. Sọ̀rọ̀ yẹn fojú hàn kì í ṣe pé ẹnìkan 92 ẹnìkan gba 90. Tẹ́ pé wọ́n súnmọ́ra wọn, ó nà wọ́n fífi ní. Gbogbo fáwọn olóṣù adáwọjọ tí wọ́n máa ṣọ tí wọ́n ṣayẹyẹ tí wọ́n fífi wọ́n kàn gbé Tọ́lé àṣọ sọ́dọ̀ bàbá wa Ṣọ̀ún Ajagunmadé ó sì blẹ̀sẹ̀ gbogbo bọ́ba ṣe máa blẹ̀sẹ̀ kan náà nù. Ẹ̀yin wá ní ẹ̀fẹ́ kì í ṣọmọ ilé yín mọ́ torí pé tí wọ́n retí pé yóò mọ̀ sí fáwọn kò ṣe é kókó ẹ̀nà ó lè ní bá wọn jà. Àbá ní kábíyèsí ẹ jáwọ́ mẹ́ o. Bí wọ́n bá ní kọ̀tà kan lọ court ẹ̀yin gan ò ní agbára tẹ́ ẹ fi lè yọ lábẹ́ òfin Nàìjíríà ṣe jọ́ngú kékeré kan máa pàṣẹ tó wo Muslim community ò lè yọ lórí pé ọmọ ọmọ nàbọ̀ wọn kọ́ Muslim community kan ò lè yọ ká ló ṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ míì fún àwọn Muslim community àlè pé torí ẹ̀sẹ̀ tó ṣe ayọ́ ṣùgbọ́n lórí ọ̀rọ̀ pé ọmọ wa nàbọ̀ wọn kọ́ gbogbo ni wọ́n wà tí wọ́n fi yàn ojú wọn fọ́ ni wọ́n sì bí wọ́n kún tó yàn so kábíyèsí ẹ mọ̀ dá sí kábíyèsí odò wọn láwọn gbọ́ ni wọn ò mú lò kábíyèsí ní kóyè kí tọ́lé àtọ̀ ọ̀pọ̀lọ̀ ọ̀rọ̀ kúnná káwọn ò ṣèwádìí wọ́n tẹ̀ pabambari ẹ̀ àsìkò náà tí yẹn wá ṣẹlẹ̀ yẹn ní àìkọ̀tù pọ̀ṣọ́ àìkọ̀tù náà ní kí àwọn kan náà kọ̀ pé ṣe máa wọ́n ọba pé kò lẹ́tọ̀ sí oyè yìí àti joyè wọ́n á ní kí ọba gbọ́dọ̀ ẹjọ́ tí wọ́n dá ni pé ọba yóò gbọ́dọ̀ gbé lọ́ba ṣùgbọ́n lábẹ́ òfin Nàìjíríà àyè wà fún yẹn láti appeal àwọn tó wá fẹ́ appeal adájọ́ tó dájọ́ ń gbọ́dọ̀ fún yín láàyè kẹlọ appeal tí ó bá fún yín láàyè ẹ kọ́kọ́ lọ mú òfin iṣẹ́ náà ẹ kọ́ sọ̀kà lórí àpèrè náà ẹ lọ mọ appeal bẹ́ẹ̀ bá jẹ́ ń jọ wájú ẹ pàdé bí àbájẹ́ ẹ̀jẹ̀ mọ́ náà nu ṣùgbọ́n wọ́n á bẹ adájọ́ àwọn yẹn bá bẹ adájọ́ pé kó dàpọ̀ jẹ́ kí ọba wà lórí ipò rẹ̀ kó máa lo kòrónà kó fún appeal tí bí yẹn bá ti kó lórí ipò báwọn àti padà bẹ́ẹ̀ a máa le àwọn ní kábíyèsí ebi wọ́n gbẹ̀yìn láyè láti máa dúró lórí ipò yín kẹ́ ẹ máa appeal ẹjọ́ náà wà lórí ipò rẹ̀ kẹ́ ẹ fi wọn ṣèwádìí dẹ́gbà ṣe káwọn yẹn ló fi lọ kóòtù bí kóòtù bá yọ bí wọn bá yọ wọn yọ náà nìyẹn kábíyèsí kọ́ láwọn gbọ́ wọn wọn rárá àwọn èyí tí wọ́n sọ ọ dáhùn lójú pé tálẹ̀tì sọmọ ilé alára lóòótọ́ nínú ẹ̀sìn wa nínú Islam ò pé ọmọ ilé kankan ló gbọ́dọ̀ máa jẹ chief imam Islam sọ ni pé ẹ ń bá démọ̀ jù láàrin yín lóòjọ́ yín nǹkan yẹn chief imam ṣùgbọ́n àti pé àṣà wa nu àmọ̀tẹ́lá àṣà wa lọ náà ni ẹ jẹ́ kí ọkùnrin ọba ṣẹlẹ̀ lọ bí court bá wá yọ ẹ̀yọ́ kù wọn gbá wọn á papá ń bá rí ẹ wọn ní kó lọ tí mọ́ṣáláṣí pa wọn kọ́ àwọn kan lọ́wọ́ àwọn kan wọn bá lọ tí mọ́ṣáláṣí lóòótọ́ nígbà tí a wọ́ àwọn ọmọ ọ̀dọ́ tí ó bá wọn wọ́n fi díẹ̀ hàn wọn á fà wọn ọlọ́pàá lọ ibi tó kún ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ nu àwọn tá a wá bá ọba tá a sọ pé ẹ máa ń rìnrìn àjò tẹ mẹ́rin yìí o tọ́bọ̀ ọ̀gbọ́ ọ ti dà sáwọ́ wà pé ọba wà lẹ́yìn tó lè sófin àmọ̀tẹ́ lọ́ba àwọn àdàbọ̀ ní í ṣe yìí o níta àdọ̀ta àfin sínú wọn wá yan àwọn àkọ́kọ́ sọjú nù wa Dr. Sakabalógun ọjọ́ ga wa Mọ̀súrù Jìdé èmi wọn kà gbọ́ ta àfin ni wa. Ìtọ́ fa ọ̀rọ̀ kúnná tẹ́lẹ̀ mi lọ́rọ́ kúnná kí àwọn suspend mi àwọn ìtọ́ fa yọ̀nà èmi tẹ̀ wá rò dáadáa pé mi ti ẹ̀ fẹ́ rọ́ kúnná ẹni tá a pè lọ́ba wa tó jẹ́ lídà wa tí ègbà mọ̀ràn tó jẹ́ mọ̀ràn ara rẹ̀ nìkan ní máa gbà òun nìkan ló gbọ́n tán lójú ara ẹ̀ eléyìí mi ìfẹ́ ṣe lóyè lábẹ́rẹ́ mà tí ìbá ṣe lóyè lábẹ́rẹ́ ìjà alámọ̀jà gbogbo gbà ìwé ẹ̀ kó fọ́yé mọ́ mo bùn kọ́ máa mú ẹni báwo kó fi bẹ̀ mi ò jóye ibẹ̀ mọ́ oyè tó lọ́n fún mi jẹ́ pọ̀ tẹ́lẹ̀ sani I'm a senator of the federal democracy títí ọlọ́run fi pé títán dé senator ọmọ kòmí láíláí once a senator you are a senator forever. Ayọ̀sọ́lá tó ń pè mí gómìnà wa kan ló náwó mi gbé ní Ayọ̀sọ́lá ni ọ́ tó ní kankan mí ìkọ́ ìmọ̀ kọ́kọ́ dá gbogbo solar lighting wọ Nàìjíríà yìí Ògbómọ̀ṣọ́ ni o Ọ̀yọ́ state ni o anywhere èèyàn mẹ́lọ́mọ̀ mi láyé àyàn máa lẹ́lùmọ̀ṣọ́ sọ̀rọ̀ Mayegun pé Mayegun bá dáwọn pé Mayegun lájà àmọ́ oyè bàbá wa ni bàbá jẹ́ kò sí tó burú nù ẹ̀ oyè lu wa nu bàbá tó sì mí jẹ ọmọ rírì ipa tí mo ti kó nínú Ògbómọ̀ṣọ́ ló fi mí jẹ Olúbàdàn kábíyèsí ló wà tó gbèsè wọn fún mi joyè nìbàdàn kábíyèsí ara ìsádú ọlọ́foríjì wọn fi mi joyè oyè tí wọ́n máa mú sàtífíkẹ́tì ọba mi lé ni oyè tí wọ́n ti jẹ́ kọ́gbọ́dọ̀ ní 10 àwọn tó nífẹ̀ẹ́ tí wọ́n ń s'Ògbómọ̀ṣọ́ mo ṣe máa kọ sí ara lẹ́yìn mo ti yọkọ mi ò jẹ́ Mayegun kankan mọ́ máa tó torí okùn ní oyè jẹun ló ó kì í bolú ẹ̀ lọ́rùn àwọn kan tó gbọ́dọ̀ máa ṣe ìwà kan tó gbọ́dọ̀ wù sí ọba ẹnìkan lójú tí kò bẹ́ẹ̀ bí ìbá ṣe gbé wá ní ṣe gbé fún bí wọ́n gbé wá tútù àjọṣe tútù bí wọ́n gbé gbóná odidi yọba mi pẹ̀lú ògo Ọlọ́run ìtútù òsì mẹ́wọ̀n àwọn onífọwọ́ ara wọn fà ibi tó wá dé nìsín pé kábíyèsí gbọ́dọ̀ káwọ́ kúrò nínú àwọn ìwà tí wọ́n ń wù yìí ẹ̀ńbẹ́lẹ́ranjà gbogbo ẹgbẹ́ lọ́gbọ̀nẹ́gbọ̀nẹ́gbọ̀n ní tí wọ́n bẹ̀ ń lò ẹ̀lẹ́fẹ́ dominate ẹ̀lẹ́fẹ́ máa sọ fún ẹ tí wọ́n jọ lóye wọn àwọn ọlọ́jà bàbá ọlọ́jà ìyá ọlọ́jà wá sí palace níjọ́ òní wọ́n ń holé wọn lórí olè tó pé inú yóò dùn sáwọn tó jẹ́ olórí wọn l'Ògbómọ̀ṣọ́ àwọn ẹlẹ́ran ẹ̀ ń bá wọn jà àwọn oní aláta ẹ̀ ń bá wọn jà nílùú ẹ̀kọ́ bá gan lọ ẹ̀kọ́ jẹ́ tí wọ́n máa kó gbogbo wọn jọ bàbá gbogbo èèyàn kábíyèsí òwú wa bàbá bí wọ́n sì wà bàbá bí wọ́n bá rí àrífín bẹ́ẹ̀ kó rí àrífín náà nù. àpọ̀dípọ̀ Ògbómọ̀ṣọ́ ni mí through and through torí Ògbómọ̀ṣọ́ mo fi kúrò l'Amẹ́ríkà 31 years ago mi fi wà níjọ́ mo sì dé mi kó l'Ògbómọ̀ṣọ́ kí n bá lọ bí kan mọ̀ ń padà dé délé wá sùn ni mo sì ní nǹkan tọ́pọ̀ l'Ògbómọ̀ṣọ́ tí ò gbọdọ̀ bàjẹ́ ìlú yìí kan gbọdọ̀ bàjẹ́ àwọn tí ò wá ní nǹkan kan tí wọ́n kàn dé kí lórí kọ̀ wá rò pé àwọn jẹ́ nǹkan wo ni wọ́n jẹ́. mi ò bá kábíyèsí jà ètò ìsìnkú ni pé àpèrè Ṣọ̀ún àti ìlú yìí ṣe pàtàkì fún mi púpọ̀ torí àwọn tá à ń fi yangàn ni wọ́n yẹn ṣùgbọ́n àpèrè yàtọ̀ sẹ́ni tí ń bẹ lórí ìjókòó àpèrè yàtọ̀ sẹ́ni tí ń bẹ lórí ìjókòó àpèrè Ṣọ̀ún láàní ṣe láàmà gbé lárugẹ gbogbo ọ̀nà wọn fi lè gbé lárugẹ ṣùgbọ́n bẹ́ẹ̀ nìkan bẹ lórí ìjókòó tí ẹ̀wọ̀n kan lẹ́sìn ìjókòó tí wọ́n ṣe dáadáa lánàá tá à ń dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ Ọlọ́run fún ẹnìkan níbi lọ́wọ́ ìpẹ́tọ́ fún mi joyè yìí bàbá ẹgbẹ́ náà kò béèrè $1 lọ́wọ́ mi iṣẹ́ ìlú tí mo ṣe ń lù yìí ni bàbá rí orí ọmọ yìí agbọ́dọ̀ dá ńlá ẹ̀mẹ́ta wọn pè mí kí wájú bí ẹ̀rùn ọdún 4-5 àti pé ayọ̀ wá joyè kí n fi ọjọ́ yẹ Ọlọ́run ló ní kí n jẹ́ ńgbà tí wọ́n jẹun oyè tí wọ́n jẹ́ tá a jẹun ni bàbá tó fi yàn jẹ káyìn sẹ́yìn wá dìtẹ̀ ní kí n lọ rọ́kúnná níbo mọ̀ mú nǹkan ẹ̀ láfẹ́ lọ fi ṣe òjú wà lọ bẹ́ẹ̀ bá ní ìbéèrè á dààmú èrè yẹn.
bàbá ẹ ṣe àdúgbò lọ́wọ́ yìí ṣé tó bá dọjọ́ wájú tí àwọn àtúnṣe kọ̀ọ̀kan bá wáyé ṣé ẹ tó lè ní ìbáṣepọ̀ pẹ̀lú bàbá tó jẹ́ kábíyèsí ọba Gandhi.
kò sí tó ní àmọ́sùn ní ìbáṣepọ̀ pẹ̀lú wọn ṣe rí tá à ń sọ ni pé kódà kápẹ́ mi gbà pé dàbà àjàmá máa jọ máa ṣe lọ máa ń lórí yín àwọn ìgbésẹ̀ tí wọ́n ń gbé kò lè kí rọrùn ó wà lóyè èyàn ò lè kíná borí ilé lórúurú ilé rẹ kó lọ sùn àwọn ìṣòro tí ó wà ṣe ní ìgbé ayé wa ìhùwàsí wa báyìí ṣe kò yé bàbá àwọn kan sọ tí wọ́n gbọ́n gan yẹn wọn ò sì fẹ́ tó dáa fún bàbá yìí ni kò sì yé bàbá ò rí Ọlọ́run jẹ́ kojú wọn ṣètè yà wọ́n tó lajú sí àárín yẹn kí ló fẹ́ gbà nù kí n máa bá bàjà kí n máa bá ọba ìlú mi jà àmọ́ tá a bá jọjọ́ kó alẹ́ níta lájọjọ́ kájọ sọ̀rọ̀ ṣùgbọ́n èkíní wọn kọ́kọ́ fẹ́ mú tọkà mi kó mbẹ́ ìyẹn kí ni pé ìyẹn tẹ́lẹ̀ ẹ lọ rọ́kùn náà pín ẹ̀fẹ́ mọ́ ẹ máa mú nǹkan ìrọ́kùn kankan mọ́ oyin wọ́n jọ́ kíjọ́ ìnáwó nìkan jẹ́ kí náà tiẹ̀ pé ààrẹ Mayegun ni mo kàn fi yan fẹ́ tí abẹ́rẹ́ bọ̀ mí lára ní ìtẹ́gẹ́ mo rí kó lọ jókòó dá lọ́gbọ̀n kókó ààrẹ Mayegun tata ló mọ̀rọ̀ àwọn eléyìn ààrẹ Mayegun kó lọ jẹ Mayegun náà mọ kó mọ bùn kíni ìyẹyẹ àǹfààní ṣe ẹgbẹ́ kan ṣe àrèmọdé eré pẹ̀tẹ̀pẹ̀tẹ̀ Ṣẹ́rí tí àyè bá ká ṣàtúnṣe gbọ́dọ̀ wáyé. A mọ̀ ṣera wa ní nílé ayé. Bẹ́ẹ̀ jọmọ ìyá ọkọ àtìyàwó ìjà ni. Ìjà lè wà àmọ́ tẹ́ ń gbẹ̀tà bá wa sọ̀sọ̀ yìí pọ̀. Ẹni tó fàjà a gbọ́dọ̀ mú kó kàmúkọ́ de eléyìí o ìlera mi lè gbà o eléyìí o mi ò ní lè gbà o eléyìí o ìjà bá ríyan kì í dẹ̀ ṣe fẹ́mi nìkan. Gbogbo àwọn tíjà kan yìí tí ọba ń rò pé táwọn ni wọ́n àwọn ìṣọ̀tà olùmọ̀ gẹ́gẹ́ o à ń ṣọ̀tà wọn rárá ìtawà rí àwọn ò rí o. Nílé ayé náà sì rí wáyàtọ̀ sọ̀tìrá wọn kéèyàn pọ́tà àfin ní Ṣàkàbálógún l'Ógbómọ̀ṣọ́ yìí. Àwọn kéèyàn pọ́tà àfin ní Èjìdé. Àwọn wa lọ̀rẹ́ ọ̀rẹ́ àfin. Mo ṣe ní kí wọ́n kọ́ ní pé kọ́ lọ kọ́ àwọn tí wọ́n jọ rẹ̀ àfin kọ́ pọ̀ jáde kó kálukú aṣọ tó ṣe lù rí. Ìyẹn ìtọ́ gbà ṣiṣẹ́. Àwọn ìwọ̀n dáadáa wọ́n ṣiṣẹ́ débi kó wọ́n débi ìfẹ̀yìntì. Wọn ò lè sọ pé èèyàn mẹ́wàá tá a gbà iṣẹ́ ló mọ̀ gbọ́sọ̀rẹ́. Èèyàn pa àwọn ìlọ̀rẹ́ àfin. Wọ́n fẹ́ tẹ àfin rí ni wọ́n fẹ́ gbọ́sọ̀mọ́ ńlọ́lẹ̀ ni. Ọlọ́run jẹ́ àlọ́ lágbára Ọlọ́run. Bí bàbá bá rí bàbá ronú pé wàhálà tí wọ́n ń ṣàtúnṣe tí wọ́n sì tẹ́wọ́ àwọn náà yí padà bàbá yìí ọmọ Ògbómọ̀ṣọ́ kankan kò gbé bí rí kò bá wá ṣépọ̀ rí. Ìjọba náà ti ń fúnú àwọn bẹ́ẹ̀ joyè yìí ìjọba gan lọ́yẹ ká bú jùlọ. Oyè culture oyè grassroots lóye yìí. Ṣẹ̀rí bí àyè tó ṣe bá wáyé tí ó wà comprehensive gbogbo àwọn tí aláàbúra ọyẹ kẹta àjọ níta bá ṣe sọ á ṣe pé tí bàbá àtọmọ bá jà ọmọ ní ọ̀dọ̀ ní ọ̀dọ̀ balẹ̀ bí ẹ̀gbọ́n àtàbúrò bá jà àbúrò ní ọ̀dọ̀ balẹ̀ bí mo ṣe làgbà tí mo ju ọba kábíyèsí lọ yìí torí pé ọba ni bàbá ló jẹ́ fún mi tá a bá padà ọ̀tọ̀ bá jọ yín dọ̀bálẹ̀ pé kábíyèsí ẹ̀fọ́ríjì mi ẹ̀ má bínú a máa fòye mọ́ torí ẹ̀ ń fòye rárá mọ́ fòye mọ́ torí yẹn o ebi ẹ̀kẹ́ kò bọ̀ yẹn lọ́rùn ni fòye mọ́ a máa jọ máa gbèlú ni èmi sì fẹ́ kó ìlú Ọ̀ṣọ́ dá àwọn náà fẹ́ kó mọ̀ Ọ̀ṣọ́ dá kájọ máa kájọ kó máa ṣe ká má gbọ́ra wa àtàwọn yòókù tí wọ́n ń pè ní ọ̀tá àlùwọ̀ yìí èmi ò mọ ọ̀rọ̀ Ògbómọ̀ṣọ́ ọ̀rọ̀ ìlú kan Ògbómọ̀ṣọ́ tó ju Ṣàkàbálógún lọ pé ẹ̀ má kábíyèsí gbọ́dọ̀ pèrè lọ́rẹ̀ Ògbómọ̀ṣọ́ ju Ṣàkàbálógún lọ àbí Jìdé àbí Ragare àbí ṣé Babalọ́lá gbogbo wa lọ́tọ̀ Ògbómọ̀ṣọ́ ọ̀tá àlù ọ̀tá palace tani pé àwọn oúnjẹ palace ọ̀hún. So àyè àtúnṣe wà bí a bá jẹ ṣe ní comprehensive àtúnṣe tí a bá sì gbà láti yẹ ọ̀rọ̀ wò dáadáa kí wọ́n má limit ara wọn sáwọn àwọn kan àwọn tí wọ́n fẹ́ bà tí wọ́n jẹ́ tí wọ́n pè lọ́rẹ̀ẹ́ wọn kí wọ́n tẹ̀ mọ́lẹ́jà Ògbómọ̀ṣọ́ lẹ́yìn káàkiri tí wọ́n lè fún ọ ní ìmọ̀ràn tó dáa tí wọ́n lè dá sí ìlọsíwájú Ògbómọ̀ṣọ́ dáadáa àwọn ni kí wọ́n máa bá ṣe pọ̀. Ẹ ṣé.
Mo rò bí láti bẹ̀rẹ̀ torí